I've been seeing videos on social media trying to interpret and revise what took place in the 1980 elections. I've seen figures which have been put there. I think UPC 1,600,000 or something, and BP something else. There's one element there which is missing. In 1980, UPC had several unopposed seats. And majority of those seats were in Lamu. And when you have unopposed in a parliamentary democracy, you don't vote. So if somebody wants to do the figures, you include all the voters in Lamu on those figures of your 1 million whatever, and it will be clear. UPC won the 1980 elections. So we can't have it two ways, saying that, oh, UPC didn't win. Because another issue we can go to is the 1961 election. In the most populous area, people are being elected with 800 votes because of a very successful boycott. UPC losing that election won the popular vote by far, but used political means to address the president. So when we have elections, and interpreting what happened in those elections is very important. What happened in 1980, Lamu voted before the election, wholeheartedly for UPC. And if you ask today, there are those, I would say, pretending to be the voices of the people of Lamu. But honestly, I went into this election, one hand tied behind my back, my feet tied together, I had a boot on my neck. But despite having all of that one, I emerged with 12 MPs. All of them from Lamu. This should explain the whole issue of what happened in 1980, more people try to interpret it. The most important thing to me when understanding an election, and those who say, for example, Semogere won, what was Semogere's agenda for Uganda? Those who have claimed elections 1980 and the like, what was their agenda for Uganda? The UPC agenda, I can present it clearly, back to front, top to bottom. What about these other people who say they won elections? The ones who want to speak for the people of Lamu, the ones who want to speak for the people of Uganda, what was their agenda? In this election, Jimmy Akena UPC came in with an idea that we can create an environment whereby we have to talk by default. But that meant securing enough votes to become a significant player. And when I made that issue more, when I was reaching that point, I cannot reach there without an agenda. I must have a clear agenda. I cannot stand in front of the country and have nothing to say. I must come with an agenda. So I'm part of this issue of correcting the history of UPC, but I am saying clearly what was UPC's program today for 2026 going forward. The reason I have approached it this way is that one of my ideas which came in our manifesto, and because I felt this idea was extra important, that it could benefit the people of Uganda in ways which can continue for a long time. And not being in government, I felt it important that I share this idea. So I shared the idea with the powers that be. I was only surprised last week, a letter from the president, one of these blue letters, allocating land. That was not the intention. The intention of the Jimmy Akena plan was how to access markets and solve a problem which was there. They love the idea of solving the problem, but now on the question of markets, they're just looking at where do we benefit. Jimmy Akena's plan for UPC included Barara Airport, yes. But we also had Gulu, we had Arua, we had Soroti, we had Entebbe, even Nakasokora to pitch in because we need to supply a huge market like China. Am I annoyed? I am annoyed because I was not on the ballot. I'm annoyed because I'm not given an opportunity to present ideas and plans which can raise the standard of people of the citizens of Uganda. This has disturbed me. Another disturbing issue which took place last week, I think it was last week, when the president wrote his letter. And his letter, he mentions apologies for shortages of drugs. honestly. Shortages of drugs. What drugs are we talking about? When you have somebody who is on high blood pressure medicine, when you don't have your drugs, what risk are you putting the people to? I come from the train of thought that the people of Uganda are the greatest asset. Our duties as leaders is to make sure we provide avenues where the people's lives are secure. If you're securing anything or protecting anything, protect the lives of the citizens of Uganda. What happens when somebody doesn't have medicine? And the whole thing defeats purpose. The UPC program, the UPC plan, which we put in this manifesto, touched on the history. UPC's history created a health service which worked for the citizens of Uganda. And one of the core of that health service is the people. The professionals are the ones who run this health service. When it collapsed, the whole of East Africa benefited from Ugandan professionals. Today, we cannot even employ our own professionals, and then we say, sorry, drugs are not there. Honestly, please. I live for this issue that we should be working for the people. If the people are not benefiting, who are we working for? Our God is for God and my country, but how do you demonstrate your love for God if you cannot demonstrate the love for the citizens of Uganda who is going to a medical facility and not getting the medicines? And the one hand in that document says, don't speak to Akena because Akena is irrelevant. If I'm irrelevant, well and good. But if I have a point, if I have sense which works for the people of Uganda, then you should listen to some of what I'm saying. And this one always goes to the president. You love my idea, your implementation is skewed. My effort is for the people of Uganda. To open China is for the people of Uganda. But if you open China, we have to meet the regulations. Some of the issues which have been engaged in proves that point, because whether we like it or not, to be able to export to China, we have to be able to meet their safety regulations. We can also export a lot of things to EU because we don't have the policy. So, Mr. President, when you get an idea, listen to the people who also created that idea. Can you imagine that while I was going through this unfair, military-dominated election, I still had the presence of mind to think what would benefit Uganda. And I share an idea which should stand the test of time. Implementation, different issue. I can go further on this issue that history, when DP was in government with NRA, what policies did they bring? They failed to bring policies. The policies which ended up are policies of UPC. I will stand by that one. Rehabilitation and Development Plan and the UPC Recovery Program, plagiarization without a concern. So, as we're now heading towards the LC1 and LC2 elections, which UPC intends to participate fully, but we raise the concern. The level we have been treated, the funding of iPod, which was supposed to be for parties, has been treated like somebody's personal purse. Mr. President said it was unchristian. We are now going to 6 years later. Is it still unchristian? Or this is being one? Last time I called it satanic. This is the context where we're going into the LC1, LC2 elections. We are going to go there and do our best, but we need to do the best for the people of Uganda and democracy in Uganda. And when I touch on democracy, how do we now get into this issue? If we don't have avenues to express ourselves politically, to disagree politically, then now we even come to prayers. Prayers. If we call for prayers for people who are incarcerated, what does the law say even on treason? How long can you be in remand? I used to remember something about 180 days. How long has kids been in remand? Oh, whatever incarceration is called. We must at some point be able to have a conversation with each other as Ugandans. I came to this conversation with clear, bankable policies. Bankable policies. The fact that you jumped on one of them is proof. How many players have come with bankable ideas? How many bankable policies have been there? It's not in the NDP, it's not in the NRA manifesto, but it's in the UPC manifesto. And a clear write-up of how we can benefit. I put it there for the sake of Uganda. Are we able to have an honest conversation on the future of Uganda? Because I am very interested to know who ordered the boots to be leader and the boot which was by next during the election. The only person I can get that from is from the president. These people who are hanging around the president saying he should talk to some of us. He can choose not to talk to some of us. But I will talk to him through you in the media. Up to tomorrow, I will insist what was done to me was wrong. It was wrong. But it did not stop me from engaging. It did not stop me from putting my best foot forward for the people of Uganda. Can we say the same on the team of NRA? On other political players who want to provoke others into a situation where they can now descend and pulverize people? I'm not somebody who went for that bait. I will not go for that bait. But the conversation which we must have must be where the people of Uganda benefit. I've been insisting that at the end of the election we should be celebrating as a people. Great ideas would have been shared, hopes would have been built, but we come out of this election with a very sour taste. At least for some of us, the taste was very sour. You call it free and fair, I don't. I'll use another word, but the word may not be broadcast quality. But the male version of Kauda was what this election was. Thank you.